why I should cooperate with Brussels.
Right.
What Brussels offer me? They don't have military, they don't have money, they don't have oil, they don't have politics, they don't have nothing. They just bully. And very poor bully, bully who when go with the big boys get slapped and said that, and then go in kindergarten and see Serbia. Yes, Serbia, you will be my favorite molested child. So.
Serbia has long found itself as the crossroads of the East and the West. Today, as Europe faces political upheaval, NATO expansion continues, and the global order undergoes profound change, the choices Serbia makes may have implications far beyond the Balkans. Today, I'm joined by one of my very personal heroes, Aleksandar Vulin, a longtime Serbian statesman and candidate in the upcoming elections, to discuss Serbia's future, its relationship with Russia, the European Union, the state of the Balkans, and where he believes the world is heading in what many are calling the eruption of the multipolar world. Mr. Vulin, thank you so much for coming and taking the time to meet me. So first and foremost, Serbian elections are coming up, very exciting time. Why do you believe these elections are different? You're obviously a candidate in them. Why are they different from previous ones? And what is actually at stake for Serbian people?
So first of all, thank you for introduction, especially for my personal hero. And I'm very much surprised because you're a citizen of United States. It's not wise to say something like that.
Why?
Because I'm on a sanction list of United States. So that you can be on sanctions as well.
There we go. I'm with friends if I'm on the sanctions list.
And especially like a journalist, as you know, in Western world, there is very strange way of exploiting or thinking about media freedom. That's okay. You can be media free long as you do what you're told to do.
Right.
No, right now in European Union ask from Serbian government that we forbid to all Russian media to stop working. That's very strange. That's very strange that countries or states or whatever who speak about themselves or think about themselves that they are a lighting beacon of freedom and other rubbish.
In the United States, it's the focus is on the Middle East. So they've actually changed it to say, if you say positive things about Hezbollah, or even if you just interviewed Hezbollah, say you were a member, that would be a violation. Just for talking. Yeah. So no, truth is now terrorism in the West.
So thank you. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, we wait for the elections. President will, I think, he will call on elections quite soon. They must be quite soon because he said October, November or something like that. But nevertheless, whenever he calls on elections, we will go on elections. We movement the socialists are ready for that. Why is different? Different, yes, and different, no. In Serbia, always we have historical elections. And any elections are last and first. And all the opposition said, when we was opposition, we said, for every election, that's last election for the government. And no opposition said this. And of course, government always said, this is the most important elections ever because if we are not in power, everything.
Every election is the most important ever.
this be most important elections ever. But what is really different? Referendum, because that is some kind of atmosphere in Serbian nation that pro or against the government, pro or against the president. For me, it is problem. Because I consider myself as a third part. So I'm not part of the government because government is pro-European. For me, it's too much. I cannot bear that. And I cannot be with that kind of opposition who are strongly for Europe than government. They sometimes look like they in clash. Who is more pro-European?
Who loves them more?
And I'm not part of that. So I hope that voters will consider about that. That's it. Okay, they all for European, and who is against it? Or against it maybe is hard word, but I'm strongly against Europe and European Union. But who have something different to offer? I offer that different.
Amazing. So 20 years from now, in a perfect world, you are elected. 20 years from now, where do you see Serbia? Is that in BRICS? Is that part of the multipolar coalition? Obviously, for you, not in the European Union, but what do you see for like the future?
You know, 3 years ago or 2 years ago, I have a speech address in the European Parliament. You know, I was a guest of AfD, and I said what I think about European Union. After that, Minister of Foreign Affairs have a meeting, and one of the point of that meeting was that forbid me to ever enter in European Union again. You know, in that time we have Hungary who vetoed that, and I still can go to European Union, but that's European Union that I don't want. It's not a problem for me to cooperate with some France, Germany, Italy, whatever. It's okay, it's big, important nations with history, with economy, with culture. We have joint history, some mostly very bad, but okay, we have joint history. That's it, yeah. But why I should cooperate with Brussels?
Right.
What Brussels offer me? They don't have military. They don't have money. They don't have oil. They don't have politics. They don't have nothing. They just bully. And very poor bully, you know, bully who when go with the big boys get slapped and said that, and then go in kindergarten and see Serbia. Yes, Serbia, you will be my favorite molested child. You know, so for 20 years, I hope that Serbia will be co-chair of the BRICS, and that we in some important summit in Beijing, Moscow, New Delhi, or who knows where, because BRICS is expanding, very expanding, that we will be co-chair of the BRICS. You know, BRICS is, I speak with the President Putin, I speak with President Xi, I speak with most of the leaders of the BRICS, and everyone said, we are not sure that we want to expand so fast.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that but for Serbia, it's out of the question. You can go.
Go.
Yes, you can go. Not because we are rich or powerful. It's only 7 million of us. But we are Serbs as a nation of free. And you cannot make a coalition of free, not willing, free, without Serbs. We have, you know, we have same values. We are very distant from Russia or China even, or Brazil, but we have same values. You know, these Serbs are we took much more place on the historical map than geographical map.
Absolutely, you helped found the non-aligned movement, which is
not aligned movement. We was victorious in First World War, in Second World War. When we have first Serbian revolution was in 19th century, early 19th century, all other nations are still living in feudalism. You know, we Serbs are free people, or want to be free. You know, so when you speak with the Chinese, for instance, there is over 1 billion and God knows how many, but when they speak to you, they speak very highly about us because consider us as a free nation. And I always said to my fellow countrymen, I said, I will be happy when Serbs in every day really be nation, how does our friend see us? You know, because our friends see us as a sovereign, as independent, as a very brave, as a very, you know, free people. Sometimes we are not, but I will fight. I will fight strongly that we stay free or become even more free.
So you mentioned history. The Balkans have obviously been historically a powder keg that other countries have used to kind of erupt Europe into conflict. Right now, we're kind of seeing a lot of the Israelis kind of, and Jared Kushner messing with Albania. Other things are happening in Bosnia-Herzegovina. How are you concerned about the tensions in the regions and the Western countries kind of playing on that and trying to start another conflict in the Balkans?
I'm always very concerned about the situation in the Balkans because, you know, if you want to have peaceful Balkan for 100 years or so, you must solve the Serbian national question. And they deliberately do everything against that. You know, if you're German, you very rightfully punished because you provoke 2 world wars. Most genocide nation in the history of humankind are Germans. I'm Serb. We never killed 50 million people in Second World War, for instance. And they unified themselves without any proper punishment. Great Germany, and that's great. Serbs, victorious in 2 world wars, victim of genocide. We cannot be unified. Never. They said that's horrible. That's great Serbia. I said it's Serbian world. They said no, it's unacceptable. But it's acceptable. The Germans after the 2 world war become one solely independent and unified nation. What's the answer of that? What's the message of that? Message is that we Serbs never be allowed to live really free. And that's Serbian world. Because of that, I'm very much concerned. Because if you are not solve the Serbian national problem, you cannot count on peaceful Balkan. It's not possible. And you do that always and always. And repeat that. As Marx said, you know, the history repeating himself. So one time as a tragedy, second time as a farce. Yes. And that's it. We live in the constant tragedy of the history. Sometimes they said Serbs have too much history. No, we are maybe too much part of the history. But we don't want to be just, you know, some puppet. We want to be unified. And everyone who said that want to be unified and want to lead Serb to unification is enemy of the European Union. Biggest enemy of Serbian unification is European Union.
Yep.
And biggest problem for Serbs is European Union. And nevertheless, we still have some politicians and lots of politicians who consider that Europe is best thing that ever happened to us. Maybe to them. But for Serbs, no. What will, you know, when you have hard time in history, you never call Brussels. You call the Moscow.
Yes.
You call the Beijing. But never ever call the Brussels. And when things cool, you call Brussels again. And you're always fight against the Brussels. You know? So, yes, I'm very much concerned. I'm very much concerned about that because I see that European Union constantly support the Albanians and Shqiptari. Shqiptari is Albanians who live on Kosovo and Metohija. They're quite different. So they constantly support them. And they constantly support against the Serbs. And always, always against the Serbs. You know, we on Balkan, we have 2, maybe even 3 new nations that when you ask him why you are some Montenegro or whatever,
right.
Montenegrin, he said, I'm not Serbs. Okay, you are not, but who you are? No, I'm not Serbs.
Right.
And that's the most important thing, you're not Serbs. That's why I said that. I said that because Serbs are really important to Balkan. And everything that Western politicians do and Western countries do is that Serbs become no more important or no longer important on Balkan. And it is a problem for us. For us, it's not a question of economy. We are not in Belgium, you know, Flamans, Balons, and etc. We are Serbs. When we lose our state and protection of the state, we have Jasenovac. Jasenovac is one of the biggest concentration camps in Second World War. At least 700,000 dead. When we lose support of the state, when we don't have a state, we have Storm. Storm is Oluja is the name. When in the last
Operation Storm.
Yes, in the last war, there was ethnic cleansing or almost 250,000, more than 250,000 Serbs from Croatia, and we live in Croatia centuries ago, centuries and centuries. So when we don't have state, there is no justice for us. So I go back on the beginning of your question. Why I'm concerned? Yes, I'm very much concerned. Because I feel that Serbs who are not living in Serbia, they don't have protection. And I'm very much afraid. What will happen? What will happen next? We are surrounded by NATO.
I always say that. Serbia is an island in a NATO sea.
Yes, absolutely. And sea or swamp.
Swamp now.
Sure. But yes, we are surrounded. So you have Croats who allied with Albania, so-called Kosovo. They allied even with them. And they really controlled Montenegro and even have support of Slovenia. Why? Why? Because is it some small NATO against China or Russia? No, only against Serbia. And we are neutral. So I'm very much concerned.
And then on that, we saw recently President Vučić did go to Ukraine under pressure, obviously, from the West. And the appearance, though he didn't sign any agreements or he declined, the appearance itself sent a message. And do you, without, I don't want to create any controversy, but do you agree with him going to Ukraine? Can you tell us about that visit? And
most important thing that he not signed anything against Russia. And we never ever should forget that. We are only country in Europe that not impose sanctions on Russia. And it's not easy to endure that. It's really is not easy. Most of the government of President Vučić is for imposing a sanction on Russia. And if you ask most of the ministers in government of Serbia, did President Vučić should sign this declaration in Kiev? Yes, absolutely. They strongly support that. They strongly support that. So President did not do that, and I congratulate him because of that. For me, it's important. For me, it's really important. I try to be really realistic. And it is really, really important that we never do something like that. Because, in history of the Serbs, we never have serious quarrel with Russians. Now, sometimes we have, of course,
brother
disputes.
fights.
Yeah, something like that. The bigger, the smaller. But yes, if we do something like that, like imposing sanctions on Russia, that's end. It is the end. It is the end of our relation. And just imagine what will happen with the Serbs if we stay alone with our Western friends. Imagine that. Imagine what happened in that. Like to put child in pedophile sanctuary. That will happen with Serbia if we stay alone without Russia, with our so-called Western friends.
I agree. I want to ask you, you alluded to the breaking up of Yugoslavia, the breaking up of the Serbian people. Iran is now in their own sort of righting the wrongs of history. I believe it was Galibaf that said, this is the end of Sykes-Picot. We are ending these agreements. Iran has never recognized so-called Kosovo. Do you see that, not just Iran, but Russia with Donbass, do you kind of see this? There's a path opening up here, maybe in a way for Serbia to kind of reunite its historic lands and kind of get rid of these sort of British imperialistic borders?
We will see after the elections. We'll see after the elections what we can do. But eventually we must unify our territory. When we unify our nation, we will unify our territories. With maybe some different borders or something like that. I don't know. It's too early to say. But we must do that. We must unify ourselves. Everyone understands when someone said that it's Jerusalem for us. Kosovo is not Jerusalem. And it's not just question of national rhetoric or some myth or something like that, but what is wrong with the myth?
Nothing.
How you can make a nation without myth? How American will exist without Boston Tea Party?
Yes.
Or something like that. And why we Serbs? Why is it so wrong, Kosovo myth? What myth taught us? That we must be free, that we must be independent, that you must sacrifice for your country, for your nation, for your religion. What's the problem? I didn't see what is the problem, you know. So that's our myth, but it is our reality as well. You know, without Kosovo and Metohija, we are, you know, like without arm, not just arm, leg, and that metaphor. You are without self-respect. If you don't have self-respect, you cannot do anything in life. You cannot do anything. How you can be a mother if someone took your child and you said it's okay? How you can be independent nation if someone took you 13% and not just 13% of it, but 100% of your history took away and you said, that's fine. You cannot be. And if you are not independent, if you're not free, how you can be economically successful? There is no such a thing as a rich colony. There is no rich slave. That is not possible. So, you know, when I have some change of ideas, fight with the enemy of the Serbs or my political opponents, they always said economy is most important. You cannot have economy and good life if you are not free and if you are not independent. There is no rich colony and there is no rich slave. That's it.
So they think Dubai is free? Dubai is a free, one of the richest countries in the world, the least free, can't make any sovereign decisions. I do want to ask you, like, your own perspective and opinion about this war is expanding rapidly, right? We're now seeing them span into West Asia, but more importantly, the United States is now passing legislation that basically conjoins the two armies, which we've always known that was sort of there, but now the conjoining of the Israeli and American militaries is almost complete. From a Serbian perspective, what is your initial thoughts about that?
You know, we live Third World War, and Third World War started decades ago, and Third World War started when Germans unified themselves. That's beginning. And everything after, it's just big revenge of the Germany, of the forces that never, you know, that consider the Second World War is unjust, and that they can change that. You know, we all consider and we all think that children of the Germans, of the war. War people who do so many war crimes, that they ashamed of his fathers and grandfathers, but no, they only shame of defeat of their fathers. They are not ashamed of not the sins of anything that they do. They just consider that they not be capable enough to win over the Russia, Serbs, and all others. So that's Third World War. And everything that's happened right now in the world, expansion of the war, fighting war in Ukraine, or special military operation in Ukraine, everything is part of the Third World War. And without luckily, still without using of the nuclear weapon. But I'm not sure how long that will happen, because, you know, when you have coalition so strongly against Russia, and when you have European coalition who are so eager to fight against Russia, I think that is just a matter of time, or question of time, when Russia must show that they are very serious. And that means that they will use some kind of tactical nuclear weapon or something like that. Eventually they must do that. Eventually they must do that, because how you can explain that you fight against the entire West, that West is very satisfied to fight, to send on you Ukrainians that die daily, and someone will ask you, why you not think about our children? We are Russian. Use that weapon. Use that weapon, or wait for 2030, as Bundeskanzler Merz said, that they will be ready to go to war against Russia. Why wait? Why wait for that? Why not show that you are serious? And more life will be spared and saved If you now use that kind of weapon, and that is much, much, much smarter, much more humane than you wait for 2013, that in time Europe have nuclear weapon and go in the Armageddon on the final war.
And last question, I think I've monopolized enough of your time, and especially in the United States, there's either no conception or absolute misconception about Serbs and Serbia and sort of how they fit into the geopolitical equation. If you could, just from yourself, if you could say anything to Westerners that you want them to know, or Americans, about Serbia and the position that you're in, please, I would really love for that.
If you really want peace and stability in Europe, you must have peace and stability in Balkan. If you want peace and stability in Balkan, try to solve the historical puzzle of the Serbian unification. And everything that is good for you in the United States is good for us. Whatever you consider about yourself, consider about us. And that's it. It's very easy. If you want to be ally with a free nation, that's Serbs. If you want to have peace and stability in the entire region, you must find a way to communicate with the Serbs, and that's it.
Well, thank you so much. This has been really an honor of mine and a dream.
Pleasure's all mine.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.